What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we have some Clayface news, and as you know, we've been covering Clayface for two reasons. One, because it was supposed to be a Mike Flanagan script, and I was hyped that he was going to be doing the script, and it was supposed to be a horror tragedy thriller film, and supposedly the script was so great it convinced, per James Gunn, it convinced James Gunn to do a Clayface movie. And again, we were hyped for it. Up until about a week or so, probably more than a week or so ago, I think it's been a few weeks now, we first came back and reported that Flanagan had pretty much walked away from the project altogether, and his script was being rewritten. We didn't know to what degree it was going to be rewritten. We just knew they had already identified a new person to come in and rewrite the script. And you heard me say at the time, doesn't make sense that if the script was so great that it convinced James Gunn to do a Clayface movie when he had no intentions and no plans of doing one, why all of a sudden now is it not good enough where you have to do rewrites on it? Doesn't make sense to me. And Mike Flanagan had already come out and said, hey, I don't even know what's going on with it anymore. I've pretty much walked away from that project, and I'm working on other things, because we know the shooting for the Carrie TV series has already started, and he's heavily involved in that. And we do know his Exorcist film is not going to be happening next year. That's now been delayed. So his primary focus has now been the Carrie TV series. So the reason why we're still covering Clayface is because, as you can see here, Clayface, Tom Rhys, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Harries, is playing the title character in DC horror movie. It's going to be a DC horror movie apparently still. So we have two things we're covering off on this topic, is the casting for this, and we'll just quickly look at the other headline article here. Clayface, James Gunn promises it's all Mike Flanagan's story. Okay, I'm interested to see if he's quoted in that or if this is just someone's opinion. So let's jump back to this article on the casting. This might be relatively quick. DC character Clayface is getting a live-action movie written by Mike Flanagan, which we, again, as I just stated, he may have written the original script, but there's plenty of stories out there indicating otherwise, that it's being rewritten, and we don't know to what degree it will still be of what Mike Flanagan had initially written and had outlined for this film. And directed by James Watkins. And Deadline reports this morning that Welsh actor Tom Rhys, Harries, again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, has landed the lead role. The 34-year-old actor has also appeared in the television series Jekyll and Hyde, Midsomer Murders, and a lot of other things he's worked on recently. The Flanagan penned Clayface movie is currently undergoing, here we go. So we're not even in really two paragraphs in. The Flanagan penned Clayface movie is currently undergoing revisions, with writer Hassan Amini coming on board to revise the script. Flanagan had recently revealed that his script was heavily inspired by the character's appearance in Batman the Animated Series, but there's no telling how much that original script is going to change along the way. Exactly what I just said, and that's exactly what we had previously reported on as well. For what it's worth, Mike Flanagan's script was described as a Hollywood horror tale centering on a B-movie actor who injects himself with a substance to keep himself relevant, only to find out he can reshape his face and form, becoming a walking piece of clay. With Flanagan describing the project back in 2021 as a horror thriller tragedy. Goes on a little bit more about Clayface, the history around the character. So let's keep going. And actually, that's it. So this arc, so we have the casting, which is a step in the right direction for this actually getting done. It called out the fact that I was literally talking about and just had said that Flanagan's story is being rewritten, and we don't know how much of it will remain as original. So now let's jump over to this one. Clayface, James Gunn promises it's all Flanagan's story. I call BS. And I call it BS, and this is not me being a James Gunn hater. I'm not one of those fans where it's like, you have the Snyder camp, you have the Gunn camp, and Snyderverse, Gunsverse, all this nonsense. Do I like some of James Gunn's movies? Yes. Do I like some of Zack Snyder's movies? Yes. Do I like what Zack Snyder had done for DC? I did. I actually really did enjoy it. I wish we could have just at least seen a closure to what he was trying to do. That's not the way it worked out. Didn't shake out that way. It is what it is. I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it ever happening, and that's just my opinion. All that to say is, this headline, we know James Gunn has been caught in a multitude of lies since taking over as co-CEO of DC Studios. So I don't believe this in any way, shape, or form. It's all Flanagan's story. If it's all Flanagan's story, then you have no reason to bring somebody in to do revisions to his script. That's just my opinion. Back in 2021, filmmaker Mike Flanagan let it be known on social media that he was interested in making a standalone horror thriller tragedy movie. So we know all this. Let's keep going a little bit more. Let's see here. The meeting kind of went, so we have a quote here. The meeting kind of went nowhere, but then in March of 2023, Deadline broke the news that Flanagan had scheduled another Clayface pitch meeting, this time with DC Studios bosses James Gunn and Peter Safran. And at the end of last year, it was announced that Flanagan is officially writing a Clayface movie that will be part of the DC Universe film franchise that's being overseen by Gunn and Safran. A few months ago, Speak No Evil director James Watkins was hired to take the helm, and then in a surprising turn of events, since Clayface was only greenlit based on the strength of Flanagan's script, Drive writer Hassan Amini was brought in to do what has been referred to as a complete rewrite. But if you're worried that the Flanagan flavor is being lost, Gunn wants to assure fans the movie is still telling Mike Flanagan's story. I call BS. I call absolute BS. Right there, has been referred to as a complete rewrite. If you're doing a complete rewrite, it is not telling Flanagan's story. Then there's no point in doing a rewrite then. If you're going to just tell his story, then tell his story. You won't have to do a rewrite. During an interview with I09 a while back, Gunn admitted that he had no intention of making a Clayface movie as part of the DCU until he saw Flanagan's script. He said, I didn't plan on making a Clayface movie. Mike came in, he pitched this wonderful idea. I was like, damn, I can't believe you got me to want to make a Clayface movie. But he's got to write a script, and who knows how that's going to work. He goes and he writes the script. First draft is great, second draft is even better. And then I'm like, let's do it. So we found a place for it because if there's quality stuff, we can find a way to work it in. So the next part we already know about, his inspiration, what he was using to inspire, as far as Flanagan, his inspiration for it. In an interview with comicbook.com, Flanagan confirmed that his script was inspired by those episodes of Batman animated series. Again, and this next paragraph is the same paragraph that was in the other article as far as Detective Comics number 40, so on and so forth. All right, so let's keep going. Watkins and Amini are working to get Clayface ready to start filming on October 1st, aiming for September 11, 2026 theatrical release date. Filming will take place, don't care about any of that. A fan brought up the subject of the Amani rewrite to Gunn on Threads by asking, how much of Mike's story are you planning to keep? Gunn answered, it's all Mike's story. That's why we're making this movie, because we loved it. Any changes as the shooting script is finalized are minor. I'm a Flana fan myself. And I think that might be where the article ends, and it is. Again, I call BS. I think he's saying these things just to make sure he doesn't get any blowback as far as bringing some. Again, if it's Mike Flanagan's story, and that's what you're moving on with, there'd be no reason to bring somebody else in to rewrite the script. If the script was that great that it convinced you to do something you had zero plans on doing, and you've seen multiple drafts of it, again, you wouldn't be bringing somebody in to do it. And I don't think this is a situation, he's just polishing it up. No, I'm sure in that case, Mike Flanagan would have been more than happy to polish it up, so to speak. So the fact that you're bringing somebody else in to rewrite the script, it's not all, as it states here, it's all Mike Flanagan's story. No, it's not. Again, it's not. You change any aspect of it, it's no longer all his story. It's his story, and somebody else came in and tweaked it, rewrote things, changed things, so it's no longer all his story. So that's going to do it for this horror news update on where things stand with the Clayface DC horror film. I wanted to bring this back up only because, one, there's casting for it. It's still being considered a horror film. And two, I'm calling absolute BS on James Gunn saying it's all Flanagan's story when it's obviously not. Just come out. I don't know what the big deal is. Come out and just say, hey, we're making changes to it. It's that simple. I think you're better off just being upfront and honest with the fans of what's happening versus trying to save face or trying to not be upfront about what you're going to be doing, because then it's just going to be worse later on when the lies just catch up to him. Because again, he's been caught in a multitude of other lies, and this, I feel, is just one more to add to it. So drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Do you think, am I off base here, or do you agree? Do you disagree? And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.